because after the training, we go through and we explain, so we do a live work session and we do a Q&A. And so you're going to have an opportunity to, if you've just downloaded the app, you're going to have an opportunity to learn everything. So I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me loud and clear. If so, go ahead and type a 1 in the chat box. And while you're at it, please let us know where you're joining us from. That would be amazing. So each week we do it at 1 p.m. Eastern. All right, is there anybody that can hear me? If so, oh, I see one. Thank you guys. Okay. Jen is not here today. She had a convention to go to, but she was nice enough and amazing enough to do the training for us to record it. So I'm going to get that going shortly. But today's topic is going to be about exponentially following up with everyone. And it runs about 20 minutes. And then we'll open it up for a live work session where we really encourage you to do this, like while you're on the training, to actually do the work. Because if you could do the work and as your team grows, bring your team members on and they do the work, then in just 1 hour, we're getting what we call a lot of exposures. I mean, it's a multiplication thing. Duplication. And we purposely have them on Fridays because our end of week is Saturday at midnight Central Time. So without further ado, let me go ahead. So we have plenty of time. We have about 36 hours from the time that this training ends to finish strong, making sure that whoever needs to cycle gets cycled, whoever needs to rank up gets ranked up. So let me go ahead and share my screen and get that recording of hers going. Go ahead and type your name and location in the chat box while I'm getting this set up. I realize what I need to do here. I was trying to share a picture instead of sharing. Forgive me. I just want to talk it through so you guys don't think that I'm not here with you. I'm here with you every step of the way.
It is Jen Hageman. I am your account executive with RapidFunnel for your
right,
Advancement Navigator app. And thank you for joining me for this training. This time we are going to be talking about really having an understanding of how to do exponentially better follow-up and have the long game in mind. And, you know, one of the things I will say is that most people come into this type of business really thinking short term because, among other things, there's no real expense to getting started compared to building a business or buying a huge franchise or something like that. So when you have one of those more traditional brick and mortar businesses, you've got so much capital invested, you really do have to have a game plan for a long time. And here we don't have that capital investment, which is the good thing. Anyone can get started, right? But the downside is that a lot of people then don't take it seriously and don't put together a good game plan for themselves. So what I'm going to share with you today is how to use your Advancement Navigator app to have a game plan, and your leadership has put together some beautiful features for you that you may or may not be aware of that will make a big difference for you. We're going to be talking about exponentially better follow-up, which will be a huge benefit for you if you really do have that strategy of having a long-term vision in mind for what you're going to be accomplishing here. Oftentimes, when you are talking to somebody about either your product or your income option, it's the right person, but it's just not the right time for them. You really, when you're talking to someone, you really don't know what's going on in their life. They could have all sorts of stuff going on. They might have lost their dog the other day. They may be going through a divorce. They may be thinking about moving. That, their mother may be sick. There could be a million different things going on that they haven't shared with you. So you don't really know where they're at. And oftentimes we tend to talk to someone, and if they're not ready to go right then and there, we tend to think, all right, next, we move on. But I want you to ask yourself this question. How many times did you have to hear something, see something, watch something, have a conversation, go to an event before you decided to get started? Odds are it was probably 3 to 5 different exposures. And so you want to give your prospect the same grace of giving them that time to come through that process. But you have to have a system in order to do that. And most people don't have a strategy. They don't have any kind of a plan. But with your app, you've got one, which is absolutely beautiful. The other dynamic is you want to have some way of staying in touch with your database that isn't overwhelming. Because if you think about it, if you even just were to talk to one new person a day, every day for a year, that's 365 people. How are you going to stay in touch with that many people without being overwhelmed? And again, the app has a strategy for that. And then lastly, not knowing who's a hot prospect. That was a huge challenge for me. I mean, huge. Before I started working with this app, I had no clue if I sent someone some information, I didn't know if it got received, and I for sure didn't know if they'd opened it unless I had a conversation with them afterwards. But oftentimes I'd send them something, I'd follow up, and I just wouldn't hear anything back. And I've learned since then that that doesn't necessarily mean they didn't watch my video. It just means they didn't take the time to respond to me. So it's really challenging to figure out who's actually interested, because people that are interested don't raise their hand. They don't necessarily get proactive about reaching out to you. So we have some great solutions inside of your Advancement Navigator app that are just awesome. First of all, if you are operating from this premise that, it's probably the right person, it's just the wrong time, you want to have a plan for how you're going to stay in touch with them and how you're going to continue to educate them. I say this all the time that, if everyone that you were talking to knew what you knew about what you do, odds are they would be doing what you're doing, right? They just don't know. And you are farther along that journey than your prospect is. And because you're farther along, you're at a place where you're like, this is something people have to know. But the new person that you're talking to, they got all sorts of other stuff going on. So they don't necessarily feel that same sense of importance or urgency to what you're sharing. So you want to have a way to share with them, and the way that you have that's already built into your app, so you don't have to create it and no one coming on your team has to create it. It's already done for you, is a fabulous email campaign. And I'll show you that in just a second. And it will tell you, your app will tell you when people open it. We also have a broadcast feature, which again is fantastic. And I'll show you how that works. But in a nutshell, we've talked about this before. When you bring a new contact in, you're going to give them notes and you're going to give them labels. And when they have a certain label, if you've sent them an opt-in email where you've said, hey, let's stay in touch. I want to keep in touch by email. It doesn't seem like the right time for you to go forward, but let's keep in touch. And I'm going to send you an email. And if you just click on the link in the email, that way my email won't end up in your junk mail. And they click on it. Then you have them opted into emails and you've got them labeled. And so let's just say in a week you run into something that's really specific that would be great for that whole group of people that share that label. You can do a broadcast to them, which is fantastic. So you can stay in touch with your contacts in a way that makes sense to them, which is huge. And then we also have Zoom integration with the calendars so that you can invite people. I'm sure a lot of you are already using the events, but I'll show you how that works. And you're sending them a very professional looking event invite, and then they can click on it. And the best part is the link is right there. So it just makes it so much easier than trying to figure out how am I going to get them the link to come to that event. And then lastly, we have a task feature, which is beautiful. It's wonderful. And it's where I organize my day. And it helps you just have everything all in one place, which is really, really helpful. So for the challenge, I know Dawn's going to do a workshop after this on the Live Funnel Friday. If you're watching this as a video in the app after the fact, then you're going to want to just take the time to do this, because the more you practice and the more you get engaged, the better your results will be for sure. I want you to send a text to 5 people that are in your contacts and just let them know you'd like to stay in touch with them by email. Ask permission. Wait for them to send you a response. And then as soon as they send you a response, you can send them your first email from your campaign and follow up and make sure that they've actually clicked on the link so they've opted in, because that will keep them in the loop. And then you'll be in a place where if they're labeled and they've opted in, you can then do a broadcast using labels, which is cool. The next training we're going to do is just this sense of a cadence of accountability. We've covered a lot of information over the last few weeks with these trainings. How do you kind of get the big picture of what should the rhythm be for your business? What should the steps be? And we're going to go through a lot of that with the next training. I'm going to show you a few things in the app in just a minute here, but I just wanted to wrap up one more time by saying, if you've enjoyed the app and you're working with it and liking it, take a screenshot of one of these QR codes and leave us a great review. I mean, you can leave us a bad one if you want, but we would prefer a lovely 5-star review. But I will just share, again, when you leave a review, think about it from the perspective of, if you were the person considering this, the more detailed the review you can leave, the better, in terms of identifying a specific feature that you're using that you're really enjoying, so that someone who is coming to look at this doesn't just get great app, because that doesn't really tell them very much. But if you'll share with them, you know what I love about this app is that I can send a video and I can tell that someone's clicked on it and actually see how much they've watched of it. It really has allowed me to see what's going on with my prospects' behavior, and that's helped me with my follow-up or something specific like that, because other people want to know those details. That really makes a big difference to them. So I am going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to start sharing the app and show you just a couple of things to the app for you. Hold on one second. Let me get here. Here we go. So we talked about the campaigns, and the email campaigns are really, really powerful. You know, I know a lot of people are like, well, email's kind of dead. It is, in the sense that it's not how we send information to get to someone usually quickly, but it's not dead at all in the sense of how we still communicate. And so if you take a look at your app, you've got one campaign right in here. And if you click on that campaign, you will be able, if you come up here and you click on this part right here, you will actually be able to see what the emails are, and they are beautiful. Your leadership has done a fabulous job of putting together a sequence of emails that go out to people. Let me just share this concept with you in terms of emails. Like I said just a minute ago, how many exposures did you have before you decided this was something you wanted to do? What did you have to learn? And how and where did you learn it before you just raised your hand and said, I've got to do this? It probably was you saw a video, you talked to somebody, maybe you went to a live event, maybe they emailed you something that you read. Think about what your journey was, because it's just like 0.5% or something super small of people who get shown something once and are able to take action on it right away. Almost everybody else has to learn something new, has to see something, and has to spend a little time with it to get familiar with it before they can make a decision. And that's what the email campaigns are all about. And they're about the concept of education, not about the concept of sales. So they're bringing people along the journey that's probably going to be very similar to the journey that you went along, in terms of getting to a place where they realize, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. This is something people need to hear about. That process of learning and increasing their awareness is what brings them to a place where they realize, I have to be a customer. And not only that, I have to join your team because other people have to hear this information. So These emails are educational in nature. They're mostly generic in nature. In other words, they're talking about your field, but not specifically talking about at-cost metals for the most part, so that it keeps people interested. If every email were just more information about your company, people would just say, I don't want to get that stuff anymore. But if it's educational in nature, it's going to be sharing new information with people or reinforcing information that they might already have. Either way, it's going to be engaging. And if they stay engaged in it, they're going to learn more. And the other dynamic that happens here that's super powerful is the app is going to tell you when you go into a contact, the app is going to tell you that someone's opened an email and taken a look at something. And when you get that notification, then you're no longer working in the dark. Someone took a look at it, and you can tell that that person is a hot prospect because they have clicked on a link, they've watched a video, and you can tell what's happening. And not running your business blind anymore is such a huge advantage here. I mean, it's just massive, and it will allow you to know where you should spend your time. It's really powerful. So another thing that I wanted to just share with you is how to share events. So there are a couple ways of doing it. If you click on a link, you have a couple of things that you can send to people. You can do event invites right here, or your typical send resources. And if you click on the event invite right here, this is the cool part. And a lot of you are probably already using these, but your leadership populates your calendar with your events. And if you click on an event, you'll see that it's right here, tells you what's going on. And if you click on that, the app does the same thing as it does with every other resource. It gives you these options. So in this case, for this particular contact, you have their email, and then you can contact them through social. So depending on how you connect with that person, you would then click on their things, send them that invite, they'd get the invite, and away you go. And they're going to get a very professional looking link. They're going to be able to RSVP to you. You're going to get an email notification that they've RSVP'd, which is awesome. So you know that someone's coming, which is really, really helpful. So again, when you're doing the process of bringing people in or working with contacts, I really encourage you. I know we've talked about this before, but I'm going to click on this person again. Take the time to do these two things here. If it's appropriate to put them into an email campaign, you can assign an email campaign. This person already has one, so if you wanted to change their email campaign, you would click change. But let's just say you're having a conversation with that person and they say, oh, I never got the email, I didn't see it. You then have the option to resend the first email, which is the opt-in email. So you can click on that and send that right to them. Now, the other thing that I talked about a moment ago was this label concept and doing broadcasts. We've talked about labels before. It does take a little bit of time when people come in to label them, but you all have great labels already created, and you can add new labels yourself. So if you've got a specific event that you went to and you want to add a label, you can do that, but you can just put someone into a label. And the cool thing about it is that if you have people opt into the email and then they're sorted by labels, you can then, outside of the email campaign, you can broadcast an email to a group with a shared label, which is really, really powerful. So it's a way for you to stay in touch with people down the road. It's another way for you to manage your contacts, but do it in a way that looks very personal, probably is very personal, because you're thinking this group of people would really love this specific article, or this group of people would really love this specific information, and you can be tailoring your contacts to them in a way that makes sense to them instead of just blanket mass spammy stuff, which no one likes to get and no one likes to do. So we try to avoid doing that. So using the labels, applying the labels, but then taking the step, having the conversation with people, inviting them to stay in touch with you by email, sending them that first email, and then confirming that they got it and that they clicked on the link and that they're signed up is all really helpful. Now, the other thing that we talked about too was tasks, and I'll just show you the task feature because I use the task feature all the time. If you click on tasks, you can right here, which is really awesome. Let's just say that you need to remind yourself to talk to Zach next week and invite him to a specific event. You can click right there. You can write yourself a very specific note. You can detail that note even further right here. You can add a specific date. And then the other part is, if you don't want to use the calendar that's right here in your app, which I tend to use the one in the app, so I'm just in one spot. But if you want to use another calendar, you can add it to your device calendar. So it's all integrated with what you're already doing on your device, which is awesome. So then the really cool part is if you, I'm just going to cancel this for now. I'm not going to create a fake event, but if you come back here to the back button, if you click on these three buttons right here, the more page, this is really cool. I love this part. There is a section right down here with tasks and notifications. And that's where you basically can organize your day. You know, if you have a DMO, a daily method of operation, where you're going to reach out to 2 new people a day or 3 new people a day or 5 new people a day, whatever it is, you're going to start to have some follow-ups and you're going to start to have some tasks. And here is a spot where you can just keep them all organized. And what's beautiful about it is it shows you them all, but it separates them from what's current, what's past due, and what's been completed. I don't know about you, but I do need to revisit my completed tasks so that I can see, what did I actually do? You know, did I send them something? I can go into their notes and see it, but oftentimes it's just easier for me to look at it as a list like this. But this helps me keep my whole life organized, this task list. This is where I really structure my day, and it makes it all so simple because it's all in one place. So what I shared with you for a follow-up is that you are going to do as a workshop, just send a text or a message if it's Messenger or someplace on social or WhatsApp, however you communicate with people, invite 5 people to stay in touch with you by email. But stay with them, you know, don't just send the invite and think, you know, 5 is done. Actually reach out, have a conversation with them, wait for them to respond. But then once they respond, which they'll say, sure, you can keep in touch with email, then send them that first opt-in email, ask them if they got it, ask them to click on it so that they are opted into your list, and just get in that habit. It's one more habit to get into with your app. It's a game-changing habit because if you keep that list in a way that is easier for you to stay in touch with and follow up with and send events and articles and information to, it just will make your life so much easier. And like I said at the beginning, it's probably the right person. It's just not the right time. So you want to make sure that you have that strategy for staying in touch with them, staying front of mind with them, so that when it is the right time for them, they've got you on their mind, they've got you on their phone, they've got you in their email, and they can just click and say, I just remember they sent me that stuff. I'm going to take a look at it now. Now's a good time. You can see that they clicked on it. The app will tell you, and then you know this is the time I need to reach out to this person, or this is the time I need to send this person an invite to an event or one of our latest videos or one of our latest articles. So have that long strategy in mind, because timing changes for people. And just because it's not the right time now doesn't mean it won't be the right time in 3 months or 6 months or a year. And you want to have that strategy for staying in touch. So I trust that was helpful for you. Get in there and send those text messages or those other Facebook messages or WhatsApp messages, and invite some people to stay in touch with you by email, and have fun with your campaign. Take care.
Okay, everyone, let me go ahead and stop that share. That was fantastic. And we're going to go ahead and do that now. So let me go ahead and get the other share going. So what's really important is just doing the actual work. So while I'm getting this set up, go ahead and think of 5 people that you want to reach out today, that you're just saying, hey, I would love to share with you something that I think is fabulous. We're going to show you some different scripts so that you can decide if you're a little bit nervous about just reaching out to people. Okay. And if you can tell me if you can see my screen okay, we should be on the app right now. All righty. I had everything set up, and then, of course, right at the very end, I want to be on 2 different devices so that I can see here and watch the chat. So when we go into Q&A, if you have a question, I'd like you to raise your hand or type it in the chat box. And I always ask, if you have an issue with something, we're not tech support here, we're just trainers. And so if you have any problems with logging in or anything happening with your AdvNav app, the first thing to do is log off, log on. The second thing to do is see if there's been an update. There was an update on Monday. And how you can do that is just by going to the More button here. And at the very top, looking to see what version you're on. It should be 10.1.3. And if you're not on that, there will be, I believe, an update button right next to it. If not, go to, because each iPhone and Android's a little bit different, go to your device's Play Store or Apple Store and type in RapidFunnel. You've already downloaded the app. So if there's an update, it will say update. And the next thing is, if you can get into the app, but you're having some issues getting, doing things, then just go to the More button and click on support here. And then you're going to have an opportunity to open up a support ticket here. If you can't do the app, then try the desktop. Try going to a browser and typing in support.rapidfunnel.com and going to that, and then you'll see a similar page that you can open a support ticket. They're going to ask you for your information, your email, etc. And lastly, if you can't do that, then just send an email from the email that you have connected to your AdvNav, and send it to support@rapidfunnel.com. And that's how you do that. So let's go into what she was talking about. We want to send out 5 text messages today to introduce @CostMetals to someone. So what I want to share with you first is, if you've already got them in your contacts, let's assume so. If not, all you have to do is click the plus sign and add them. And it's so simple. I won't go into full detail because I want to go through a few things, but all you have to do is go through this, hit continue, and you can add people one at a time, or you can click on the wizard, and that's going to open up the contacts on your phone so you can import as many as you want. And when you do that, do not fear, it will not automatically just send something out to someone. So let me see, this is what it looks like. And then you would just check box as many people as you want. I think there's a minimum of 5. All right, there we go. I'm not going to import these people, but that's what it would look like. All right, so let's exit this. Let's assume I already have this contact that I want to reach out to on my list. I've already got him imported into my app. So let's say it's Jennifer. So I'm going to click on Jennifer. You want to first send out a text to ask permission. So they're coming down hardcore on these spammers that are just blasting everyone with links, and it's malware and everything. So we want to always make sure that you guys know you have to ask permission. The mobile carriers like Verizon, T-Mobile, etc., they're looking for a two-way conversation. And so under send resources here, click on add cost metals, and our very first category is get permission. Now, if you've called this person and already gotten permission, then what I would say is write them a text and say something like, is this the best place for me to send that link that you wanted or that we talked about? And just make sure they come back with a yes. Because then the cell provider saying, okay, there's a two-way conversation going on. And then I want you to look through all these conversation openers, unless you already have something in mind. But sometimes, we just are a little bit nervous how we should talk to each person. And I just want you to pay attention to all these different topics. And something is going to, based on that person, gonna, help you to think, okay, so inflation is a very popular one right now. And if you want to know what it says, hey, Jennifer, notice how grocery bills are getting higher? There's a way to hedge against that. Want to know more? Maybe you don't like the want to know more part, but you like the rest of it. So you're like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to send that. So you click it here. And then however, this is email, this is text, and this is copy paste on your social media. And let's say I want to text her. And oh, by the way, if you didn't have the email listed, then this would be grayed out. You wouldn't be able to click it. So let's say I want to text it to her. It's going to pull it up. And maybe I just say, instead, want to know more. Maybe I prefer, can I send you the link? I would do something, I'm just doing this fast, but I would say something more like, do you have a few minutes to watch a video? I mean, I would say that, but again, it's up to you. Okay. And then I would send it to her. I'm not going to send this actually to her. And by the way, it says Joe, but it's going to fill in your name. Joe is because we're on the demo account for Joe Pro. All right. Once she responds back, yes, then you are good to go. And I want you guys to go ahead and do that. So take a few minutes now to send out a few permissions to 5 people. 5 people that maybe you've been wanting to reach out to, but have been a little too chicken to, not sure how to do it. Because we're really, the mindset, I'm going to talk as you do it. The mindset is we have a gold mine in our hands. We are helping people. Every day we're getting more and more bad news about what's going on with the economy, with our dollar, and so forth. And so one of the best ways to make sure we preserve what wealth we have is through gold and silver. So think of it, if you're, 90% of people fear rejection. They don't want to reach out to people. They don't want to be salesy, but you're just sharing. If you're sharing your favorite restaurant, if you're sharing your favorite candy, you're not attached to the outcome. So I just want you to remember that it's a numbers game. Okay. So once you've done that, I'd like you, and you get the yes back, that may take some time. The next thing you're going to do, and remember, I am on Jennifer's contact. Just want to show you the difference. There is contacts here or resources here. If I go directly to resources, then it's not going to tie into Jennifer. It is, this portion of it is very valuable, but this is for like on social media sharing, where you're sharing to the masses. So in this case, we're going to want to do this to each person because it's then going to send a trackable link. So once she gives you that permission, you're going to come back here, click on send resource. And again, there's lots to choose from, but we would recommend that you go to the peak. Unless you are have upgraded to the Pro Series, you might want to do the secrets page. But the peak are the 7 starters to choose from. And that's going to put them in the queue to when they're done watching the video, that first video, it's usually 2 to 3 minutes, depending on which one you choose. And then if they click the learn more button, it's going to cycle them and advance them through 10 different pages. So as you're sleeping, as you're doing your work and they're watching things, it's closing the deal for you. It's amazing, and you'll be getting the notifications. So let's say I want to start with why silver will make you a millionaire. Same thing. If you're not familiar with any of these, guys, just go through and click on the play. And then when you're done with that play, I'd like you to see what the experience is. Keep clicking learn more to cycle through so that you are familiar, because what's going to probably inevitably happen is someone's going to say, oh, that video about the comp plan, or oh, that video with the chocolate bar, and you haven't watched it yourself. So, take an hour, watch all this stuff, and then you're going to see which are your favorites, because we all have our own favorites. And every single page, here's the product page, even at the very bottom here, it has learn more. Very good. All right, so let's go back over here. One of the other things that she was talking about is after you send it, keep that conversation going and ask them if you can add them to our email campaign. And just, she said it, I just want to reiterate it, that it is just a generic precious metals email campaign. And the pros at RapidFunnel have found that if we made it about at cost metals, it's kind of it's like talking about yourself. So you want to share with them the importance of gold and silver. And then once they're in understanding that, then you say, now we are the best option. And so what you want to do, if they say yes, that they want to be added to the email campaign, then this is called her card, her profile card. Under the profile card, it says active campaign not assigned, and you can just click change. And when you do this one will come up. Right now, we only have one campaign. It's going to send the email out. She showed it to you there's a nice, cool schedule. It's going to send it to them. When you do this, it's going to actually send out an opt-in email. So you've got to let them know. If you're talking to them via Messenger, just say, okay, I just sent it to you right now. Go ahead and opt in. You can unsubscribe at any time. I just want to be able to keep in touch with you, to share with you what's going on with the precious metals. Maybe right now there's lots going on in your life and you're not ready to make a decision, but I'd love to stay in touch with you. And here's a way to do it, but you have to opt in. So can you go click that link and handhold them through the process? Because that's the best, in my opinion. I'm a coddler, but if you do that, then you know that they have opted in, because otherwise they're not going to get your emails if they haven't opted in. So I would just click assign and bada bing, it's going to shoot off that email. The other thing that she wanted to have you do is make sure that you're assigning labels. And each of us have ones that are defaulted, like interested in bullion, interested in buying only, meaning defaulted to every user, and then you have this add new. So do it for whatever demographic that is in your circle of influence. You can add as many as you want. The more precise that you can get in, and a person could be in multiple groups, the more precise you can get, and the more people that you have on your email campaigns that have opted in are going to unlock the feature of being able to broadcast a personal email to your own contacts outside of the precious metals email campaign that we have. Okay, so let me go ahead and ask you guys if you have any questions, if you're doing it, and if you're going to be sending this out, how many people are you going to be sending this out to today or tomorrow? And are you sharing this with your team, or are you holding it close to your chest to see if you have success? Why not share it with your team? This is a free version. Now, we have the premium pro version that is off the charts, but RapidFunnel, and one of the reasons I was so attracted to RapidFunnel, because I learned about it back in 2017, and it helped me close about 80% of my business. And back then I was also doing a gold and silver business. So it's the same. And what I really liked about it is that it's not like this limited free version. Like a person could be on the free version indefinitely, and they're okay with that. But of course, the pro version is going to have all the bells and whistles. And if you're a business owner, this is your business, you want to take it seriously, you know there's a cost to doing business. It's going to unlock a whole bunch of features that the free version doesn't have. That's going to help you build your business even more. And so as you do that, as it helps you close sales, then you realize the value of it. You go, you know what, this is a no-brainer. But what I really liked is there's no pressure about that, because a lot of people are taking on becoming an affiliate at Cost Metals because they need an additional income source and they don't have the money to immediately outlay. So we've got you covered on that. All right, well, it looks like there's no questions today. Woohoo! Next week, we're going to be teaching week 8, and we look forward to you being there. So go ahead and finish off strong this week. Let me go stop the share. We encourage you to finish strong, talk to your teams, see where they're at. Oh, and at Cost Metals just added to the dashboard more information about when a person is getting ready to go inactive. So you'll see it's called Personal Qualifying Volume, QV. I think it shows up on the dashboard. And what that means is how much you've earned personally through your team's efforts and your efforts. Not earned, but how many points have accumulated. And we have a 32-day cycle. So some people recruit one a month at least. Some people buy the coin of the month, and the majority do both. The majority of affiliates do both. And so when it says expiration, that just means that that's the date that that team member or yourself is going to go inactive and stop accumulating points if they don't take one of those actions, either recruit someone new or buy the coin of the month. And the coin of the month is any 20 points that you can accumulate. So maybe you buy a whole bunch of points, a whole bunch of coins in the store that are 2 points each. If it calculates totals up to over 20, then you're good to go. And that's the news for this week. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next Friday, same time, 1 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for joining us.